What's up, guys? I'm back. This is another Netflix movie, so you know we're going to have a good time. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and I'm reviewing The Monkey King. It's a Netflix original. Where's this going to go? I love how inconsistent that is. When you say it's a Netflix original, people are just like, I don't know, what's up with this? I've just been avoiding some of them too. Every time they send some girl to like Europe for a romantic comedy, I'm just like, I'm not watching those anymore. So this seemed to have a decent amount of voice talent attached to it, so I decided to do it. I took the leap. I believe it actually said it was from the director of Kung Fu Hustle, which I gotta say, I was like, what? Like, what? What just happened? It was such like a random choice of director. And I also remember that film Shaolin Soccer. And when somebody dropped the name Shaolin Soccer in the middle of this film, I was just like, oh my God. Oh, I remember those films. They were hilarious from back in the day. Anyway, but this is for kids. It's an animated film. And the thing that always kind of bothers me about Netflix that's different than other streamers is that they're so damn inconsistent that they don't care. They really do not care. They don't have like a top. It's like, I get that they don't want to have tiered levels with their Netflix originals because they don't want, but by doing that, you don't create any sort of echelon of oh, this is the one we should check out. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is clearly has the budget, this clearly has the talent and the cast behind it, whereas this other thing is some low budget thing that you bought from somewhere, and I don't know why it's here, but it's in case people are desperate and need love in their life. Meanwhile, The Monkey King is great. It has great audio description from Clement Chow is the narrator here, which he does a lovely job with a kids film. A perfect narrator for a kids comedy, and it's the kind of film that I would say you could throw this up against anything that Disney or DreamWorks makes, and Netflix does have a tendency to make those every once in a while. They also have a tendency to make films that are nowhere near this, and they pick up films from all these different animation studios, and they all have different styles, and they all seem like they're aimed at different ages, and they're all just all over the place, and they have to mix that in with all their adult animation shows. It's just a cluster of a streaming service, and there's no way to be able to tell, what am I watching? Am I watching something that was made for this, or for this? Like with Disney, there's a hierarchy. You get really excited when you see Pixar, right? They don't just put Pixar on everything. You're like, oh my God, it's Pixar. And then they also have their straight up Disney films, which are not terrible. They're not. I mean, that's how we got Frozen and Moana and some of those other films more recently. And the upcoming Wish looks pretty good. Those are not Pixar studio films. Those are just regular Disney animation. They also have, now they're putting out Disney animation for their streaming service, like the Diary of a Wimpy Kid films and that animated Night at the Museum. But it's obvious that those are not on the same level. So because there's a hierarchy, when you choose a film, you kind of know what to expect. Over at Netflix, you click on a film and you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna get. And there is some trepidation when you choose that. So I look at a film now and I look at a cast and I go, where did this film come from? And I've been skipping over a lot of films. I'm like, why did we remake The River Wild with Leighton Meester? There's no way that could possibly be good. in no I like Leighton Meester, and I immediately went, you went from Meryl Streep to Leighton Meester? There's no possible way that that film could be good. I refuse to believe that film is good, and I refuse to watch it. So sometimes it's pretty obvious. Other times you're just like, I don't know what this is. Where did this come from? And then I ended up watching something like Marmaduke, which is it's a franchise. Should have been good. It's not. It's very much not good. It's terrible. So since Netflix doesn't really care what it is that they put out, it makes it really hard to ever know if anything's actually good. This is fantastic. I love the hell out of this film. This film is delightful. It's steeped in culture. It has some really great voice work, and it's right up there with Nimona as being like one of Netflix's better animated films that they've ever produced. And I do kind of miss how the theatrical experience, we sort of feel like we come in and there are like the studio credits and we kind of gracefully lead our way into the film. I kind of feel like this just started, they're like, you click on it and they're like, bam, movie. I kind of miss the logos. I gotta be honest. I kind of miss the moments where we're like, who made this? Where are the credits? I kind of felt like that, I kept waiting for that big, reveal of the voice cast and the big title credit and all that kind of stuff, and that just never came. It doesn't mean it's not a good film. It's just weird how they present it now to people, and it kind of makes me feel like Netflix didn't really care about this. Like, it doesn't really have the finishing touch, so to speak, that a film would have. But it's actually really surprisingly good. I thought this was going to be below. I thought this was going to be like that film last year with the rabbit that I can't even remember it. What was the rabbit film from Chicken Hair and the Hamster of Darkness? There we go. I thought it was going to be something like that, but it's not. It's really fun. There's a monkey that just kind of appears, and he's got these like weird laser eyes. And there's these immortals, and I think it's steeped in Buddhism because Buddha actually comes out in this movie, which makes it a even more interesting film because there's a representation of Buddha here, which I don't think we see a lot in kids' films. Not that the film necessarily, I don't know that it really pushes the idea of Buddhism onto your children. I just think it's interesting that Buddha's here. And the monkey is, he wants to be a fighter, and he doesn't know really why he's there, and he kind of grows up, and then he wants to go live with the immortals and be an immortal, sort of like the gods on Olympus, I guess you could say, is like the equivalent of kind of what they're doing here, as he wants to go live with like Zeus, the equivalent of Zeus for this film. So he decides, somebody says something randomly to him about, how like the world will never notice him. He has to get noticed, maybe if he killed like 100 demons. So he sets out on this quest to kill 100 demons. And along the quest, he finds this magic stick, which reminded me a hell of a lot of this movie. Also reminded me, mainly because the monkey's a main focus, and then he has to find this magical thing, which is a stick. Reminded me a lot of American Born Chinese. I was like, wait, this feels like I just saw this sort of in the other part of the narrative story. There's even a thing with this Dragon King who has to maintain being wet, which reminded me of the scene in American Born Chinese when they find the guy that they keep having to put water on to keep him wet. And in the, I don't know, the God heaven realm, whatever realm they were in that. I didn't really fully understand American Born Chinese. I actually understand this film a little bit better than that entire 10 episode run of the show. I this makes more sense to me. So the Monkey King goes out on his quest and wants to, or Red Monkey, as he sometimes is referred to, and kicks some demon butt. And it's really exciting and adventurous and fun, and he's cocky as all hell. It even reminded me a little bit of Marvel's Hit Monkey, that sort of, I guess, forgotten already Hulu series that they released. They made one season of that. I'm sure like 5 people saw it. I was one of them. Congratulations if you were one of the other 4. And it kind of felt like that for a little bit, but like not as hardcore, like still for kids. So he gets down to his last demon that he has to beat, and that last demon was hilarious. And he finds that there's this super fan of his, and the super fan was really the only thing that confused me, because I assumed it was some kind of a girl character, human, monkey, otherwise, but they kept calling her a pebble, and I kept envisioning that there was this tiny rock that was following the monkey around, and I didn't understand it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, conceptually, they're like, you're just a pebble. And I was like, is she though? Does it mean something else to somebody? I'm so confused. Because I felt like when she got an initial character description, I don't know if I missed it, but I felt like she was just described as, you know, this girl that burst into a room. And I was like, okay, well, this is a girl that burst into the room. She's like a super fan. Cool. And then he just starts calling her a pebble. And I'm like, what does this mean? And I just kept imagining this little rock following him around. And I don't know, maybe it's a term of endearment or derogatory or something. That's the only thing in this film that confused me, was the continued use of calling her because it's not just his nickname for her. A couple characters refer to her as a pebble, and I don't know why. That part was never really I never fully was immersed in why is this girl being called Pebble? Like, why? Is she Pebble from the Flintstones? Pebbles from the Flintstones? I don't know. I don't get it. I'm way over my head on that one. But you know, I think this film is made for a lot of kids who need to see films like this. I think this is like over the moon, which was great. I remember my Filipino friends, when that came out, just were over the moon about it. Gotta have that bad pun in there. And the fact that their culture is being represented in this beautiful musical film on Netflix just really had them super excited about that. And I'm sure there are people who are going to watch The Monkey King and just be entrenched in just the intricacy of the culture and the representation in the film and the story, and how it feels somewhat atypical, but also oddly a lot like American Born Chinese. But it's a fun film. It's a funny film. It's a quick watch. I thought it was really well made. The pacing was fine. I don't know what's up with the Pebble, and sometimes I don't really know what's up with the Immortals. I feel like it opens up a lot of doors for people who maybe would have understood this more than me. I feel like if I was in a room full of Asian Americans, maybe they would get this better than me. Maybe there are some references that are meant to go over my head and go to somebody else. Like, they're being thrown to the people who would understand culturally the references here. And I didn't get them, which is fine, because I thought the film was still entertaining. But it does it puts just that one little puts just enough distance from the film and from me being able to say like this is the best animated film of the year. It just it's that. It's just it keeps it like a step back. Um like Nimona, just I had a small problem with just conceptually understand. I feel like the audio description on Nimona just didn't completely explain to me this world in which we still had knights and it felt very medieval, but then we had like TVs and cell phones. It was like technologically forward, but also medieval at the same time. I, I didn't quite get enough of a grasp of that world in that audio description. In this, I kind of don't really understand all of the elements of the film. I don't understand all of the little references throughout the film. So, yeah, I think it's just the way the film's structured. I don't know that it's the audio description. I mean, I, I, it's so tough. I would have to watch this with somebody who was sighted that could tell me, um, you know, oh yeah, this totally makes sense if you could see, or is it just cultural references that I'm missing because I'm white, and that's fine. I don't need everything to always make sense to me for me to be able to enjoy it. I love watching things that open up my new horizon. I'm big on lobbying for more foreign language content, to have audio description, just because those filmmakers have such a unique perspective based on wherever they're making their films. And if I just keep continuing to limit my viewpoint to that of American filmmakers, that's what I'm just, it's like, I feel like my mind is shrinking, instead of expanding, I feel like it's shrinking. So I enjoy a film like Monkey King that challenges me and entertains me. So great, good, good, good job. But I do need Netflix to figure out a way to come up with a tier system where they can give like a wink and a nudge and be like, no, this one's actually good. We got the good here. This is, we actually put production value into this one. This is not one of those normal films that we shit out onto people. This one's worth your time. We didn't buy this in the film market from some C-level animation studio that does everything in this weird, awful, low budget computer animation. No, with voice talent you've never heard of. This is actually good. It's got like Janelle Yang and Bowen Yang and just several people throughout the film that are pretty good, but all representative of their culture, like all Asian American actors. So it all just kind of comes together. And there's even a song that I really loved. The Dragon King song I thought was hilarious. I thought it was great. And I was like, I felt like it was the anti-Friend Like Me. I was like, I want this performed at the Oscars. I want Bowen Yang. I want this to be like a surprise Oscar nominee. We didn't get that with Spirited. I was really hoping last year Spirited, that they would summon the cast of Spirited for one of their songs into the Oscar ceremony. I think that was such a missed opportunity. There were songs last year that were nominated where I was just like, did this need to be nominated over a Spirited song? Because honestly, a live performance of Good Afternoon, I still remember when Robin Williams went up on stage and did Blame Canada. There's just, sometimes you have to know what you're voting for and creating the moment. And I think putting Bowen Yang on stage doing his song for this movie would be perfection at the Oscars. So if we could I would sacrifice a better song just to have that experience, to make him perform this live. Yeah. So anyway, I'm a fan of this movie. It's, I'm sure it's not going to be the best animated film of the year. I still need to see the Spider-Verse film. There's a Hayao Miyazaki film coming out this year. So I don't think this film stood a chance at being best animated feature of the year, but it's definitely one that I would recommend, and one that I thought had good enough audio description. I just maybe didn't quite understand all of it. So I'm going to give The Monkey King an A-. It's the same grade I gave Nimona, by the way, for those keeping score. Yeah. Enjoy it. Please. Please watch the good films on Netflix. Encourage them to make more films like this with actual budgets. And less films like River Wild with Leighton Meester before we end up getting a remake to Sleeping with the Enemy with one of the girls from Pretty Little Liars or something, you know? Like, it's just, oh, you're not Julia Roberts, you're that one from Pretty, oh, okay, all right. You know, like, RoboCop starring Chad Michael Murray? What's going on here? Like, I feel like Netflix is like a hop, skip, and a jump away from just doing films like that. It's just, you know, like, what's happening here? Um, yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I do have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. It'll let you know more about Clement Chow and what else he has narrated. That's it for me today. I will obviously review another film and see you guys on the other side.